Hey guys, Stow the Skater here, and I'm planning on making a custom knife, and this is what I'm going to use to make it. It's a really cheap butcher's knife. Don't know what kind of steel it is. It says rust free and molybdenum vanadium on it. But I know it's a really cheap knife. It's a rip-off knife, so I'm gonna use it to make my own. Stay tuned. Alright, we're in my garage now, and I'm going to take off the handles so that I can properly draw my design onto the knife, what I want to grind off afterwards. And now you're going to see how cheap this knife really is. What looks like a nice wooden handle with nice pins through it is actually really cheap plastic. Just using a pair of pliers to break this stuff off. As you can see, it's just really cheap, thin plastic. And the pins are actually just cheap ass tiny screws with aluminium covers on them to make them look nice. See here, it looks like a nice pin, but it pops right off, and underneath it there's just this small little screw. Alright, so here we have it. Got the scales off. Now I can put my design on. As you can see here too, the finish just goes till right underneath the handle, and afterwards it's still plain ugly metal, no treat on it at all. Just ugly. But we're not going to use that part anyway. What we're going to use is the front part right here. Alright, here's the design that I chose. Some of you might recognize it. It's the same design that I entered in Gafco's custom knife design contest. And I figured I couldn't wait to see if I won or not. I want to make it myself because it just looks so sexy. Here I've got a better drawing. This is what I hope it will look like when I'm done, from the side and from the top. As you can see, I got jimping up here, and the design fits perfectly on the piece of steel I chose. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this, cut out the rough form of the knife, and transfer it onto the steel with a Sharpie. Alright, I got the rough form of the knife on the steel now. Here you can see my plexiglass model, and you might be able to tell that what I drew on the steel is a slight bit larger than the model, and that's just so I have enough free room to make some minor errors in grinding, so in the end I can just grind it down to what it really should be. And I also left out some details, and you can see here the tip is really blunt. That's because it's going to be a really delicate tip, and I don't want to break it while rough grinding this stuff. And what I just saw when I drew this on is that I'm going to have that stupid rust-free stamp right on my blade. I might be able to grind off some of it, but it looks pretty deep. So yeah, we'll see if it goes away with grinding. And I might also stonewash this, so that might do the trick. But if not, oh well, tough luck. So we're gonna go grind this up, and I'll see you later. Alright guys, first off, most important thing when you're working with power tools is that you protect yourself. I wear safety glasses, leather gloves, earplugs, and also a respirator. This is because I'm working in my garage, and you're going to get lots of really small metal dust particles in the air, and you really don't want those in your lungs. So be smart and protect yourself. Alright, this is the grinder that I'm going to be using. It's a really cheap grinder that I got at a discount store, but it works okay. I'm going to do the rough grinding over here on this stone, and afterwards the finishing touches I'm going to do on the belt. But like I said before, it's going to take forever because the steel is hardened. So I'm just going to have some patience. Alright guys, I got the rough grind done. I drilled 2 pinholes, and what I drew on here in black is what I still have to grind off. It's looking pretty good. And what I've also done is I've started on the handles. I did a rough cutout with wood. Both slabs are 5mm thick, and I drilled the holes according to the holes in the handle. Just laid the handle on the piece of wood, drilled a hole through, put the pin in, drilled the second hole, put the pin in to see if it would fit, took everything off the knife, did the same thing on the other side, then pinned it completely together to see if it would fit, and then I just sanded around the edges, and this is what I came out with. I have too much material up here, but first I want to grind this little nook here so that I can adjust the handle so it will fit perfectly with that. Alright, here it is all pinned together. As you can see, it's nice and flush all around the edge. Now I'm going to sand these down pretty drastically because I want a nice thin handle, but it's a lot easier if you're working with thicker wood to begin with, especially when you're sawing out the rough handle. As you can see here, the handle goes into the nook that I want to grind out. That's on purpose, so it'll be nice and flush after I sand it down. It's going to make like a curve here, and hopefully it'll look really nice. And a little tip to keep putting it together easy, I rounded off the pins. That just makes taking it apart and putting it together a lot easier. So now I'm going to grind off what I still have to grind off. Sand the handles down. Flush the pins. And then try to put a grind on it. Stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm done with the fine grinding. I kinda screwed up the finish by trying to polish it without polishing gel. So it came out kinda whack, but I think I'll be able to polish that right out when I get the right cream. As you can see, I didn't do it in the back because that's where the handle's gonna be. The handles are drying right now. I sprayed them with some clear coat paint. And yeah, it turned out better than I expected. Got a pretty good grind down too. It's not perfect, but for my second knife, I'd say it's not bad. And it is razor sharp, like I can shave hair off my arm with it. I'll give you a cut demo as soon as I put the scales on, and then you can see it in all its glory. As you can see, I also put like a kind of logo on it. Almost screwed it up. Man, it came out okay. It's like engraved. Did that with my Dremel. Alright, stay tuned for the whole knife. Alright guys, I'm finally done with my knife. Here once again you can see what I wanted it to look like before I started. And here is the finished product. And I have to say, it came out almost exactly how I wanted it to look. The only difference is, here I had a completely flat blade, but due to my poor grinding skills, I kinda got like a minor hawkbill type of grind. You can see right here there's like a little point, kinda tonto-ish, and here you got the recurve. But I think it looks pretty cool like it is. And I also left the tip, the very tip of it, I left dull. That was just so I had a stronger tip, so you could really use it for poking stuff. But the rest of the blade is really sharp. And check out how the handles came out. I think they came out really nice, except for the stupid pinholes. They kind of splintered on me, but the back side is a lot nicer. And it's just perfectly flush all around the knife, nice and rounded. Feels very good in hand. Got the nice thumb ramp with the jimping. And I rounded off the jimping with a file up here, and underneath here under the wood I just left it squared. It doesn't really do much back here except look good, but I think it looks pretty sweet. It's really rounded jimping, but it still does its job, but it's not too aggressive, so it's uncomfortable. You can choke up really far like that. You can hold it like that for long slashing cuts. And like I promised, little cut demo so you can see that it's sharp. Yeah, that was the tip. That's still dull. Alright, so there you have it. The finished product out of a kitchen knife. All in all, it took me probably about 4 or 5 hours to make it, but I did have a hard time grinding that stupid hardened steel. But I think it came out nice. Definitely better than I expected. And I'm glad that I actually got it really sharp. So that was how to make a knife out of a kitchen knife. Hope you liked it. If you've got any questions, just post them in the comments. Thanks for watching and have a good one.